U.S. international tax proposals that are on the table in the Stop Tax Haven Abuse Act and from the Obama administration. They've been described as a patchwork on the current anti-deferral rules. They've been praised as a step in the right direction by Professor Aviona of Michigan. They've been criticized by several people who are closer to industry and professional practice. You have any views on which is a step in the right direction or the wrong direction?
I think you could even think it was you could aim for the same direction, but think a step wasn't going to get you anywhere. And I think some of the comments that you've identified really emerged from the sort of whole background of discussion that was taking place up through the spring of this year in anticipation of some type of reform. And there's been tremendous debate and discussion about really what to do in the international front. And there are many, I don't know if they genuinely thought it would happen, but who discussed and outlined and anticipated the possibility, say, of eliminating deferral entirely. If you're thinking about that, some of these steps, some of the constraints on CFC deferral and really on the foreign tax credit abuses might be viewed as in that direction. Mm-hmm. So if that's the goal you want to go down, they are in that direction. Now, as you alluded to, many people say it's really a patchwork. You're putting it on top of an existing layer of rules, and there's no real substantial reform. And what you really need, if you want to go in another direction, or substantially sort of change the path of our international rules, you need to sort of do something much more comprehensive and not, changing some of the deduction rules or some of the foreign tax credit rules. Okay. I think that's really the nature.
And the comment's been made that the U.S. is becoming increasingly different, and U.S. exceptionalism is becoming more marked. Even the UK and Japan recently moved toward an exemption. Here comes the lawnmower. We okay still for a couple more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll have to wait and see. Yeah, but just keep going.
So the U.S. now has one, if not the highest, maybe second or third highest corporate tax rate in the OECD, and I think it's now isolated as the only one pursuing a policy of taxation of controlled subsidiaries' income and non-deferral, except for pure active income. If we want cooperation and we really want to kind of be acting together, shouldn't we be moving in the other direction toward our main trading partners?
Well, again, I think that's a combination of what's your ultimate vision of the best path, and do you think you can be a leader there and bring everyone with you, or do you feel, no, the path is the other direction, you better just follow them? And I think that's really a judgment call. In the past, the U.S., if you think back to the 60s, really the U.S. is at the forefront of the CFC rules. So if you think that was the right direction, we were there sort of first, and over the decades, and it's taken some time, you see increasingly countries enacting or strengthening CFC legislation. If you'd said in the mid-60s, are we with our trading partners, the answer probably would have been no in taking that path. So one way to look at it is we're taking the step that a number of other trading partners are maybe interested to watch. Whether that's true or not, I think you'd have to know more about sort of politics internally of each of those countries. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And last question. Arm's length principle. Another one of these motherhood and apple pie things, but increasingly criticized as unrealistic, right? Because it's true. Anyone who's been an advisor or an internal tax executive at a multinational knows that many of the transactions occurring between related parties do not ever happen between unrelated parties. So, is formulary apportionment the way to go, or some combination?
All right, so I feel like I'm always right down the middle. That's what I would say. I do every year outside the U.S. I do some sessions on transfer pricing that I teach for foreign lawyers and government officials, and it's you can't start this conversation without them sort of acknowledging, how could you imagine I could find a comparable? Really, if you think about it, and this kind of really relates to the business model idea of why is it that companies are in fact vertically integrated, why are they multinationals and not trading with local enterprise, right? You have, for the most part, some efficiencies you're gaining. So it's likely to be either intangibles or anything that's sort of somewhat unique to you. So it makes sense that the idea you're going to find comparables, not very plausible. So I think once you acknowledge that and you sort of eliminate some of the truly arm's length sort of models of, say, cup, something like that, they start, in my mind, they start to blend anyway. And while it would look different if we went to sort of a pure formula, I think we'd be approaching it almost from another direction entirely, and some of the questions you'd start with and some of the information you'd collect first would look different. In the end, I think you're starting to face much of the same ambiguity and tension you're going to have with other countries as they sort of wrestle to capture the same revenue. So I'm not sure that I think in the end it's much easier, but I would agree that an idea of pure arm's length, we're truly pricing the way that we find third parties engaged in these transactions. That's, you're searching for something
Right.
almost.
And maybe we should go for, maybe people should try to really bring all the, countries together around a big table like this to agree on a transfer pricing approach that everyone would apply equally.
It does sound interesting.
Yeah.
But,
Well,
I think we have to wait a bit.
We can dream.
I do.
Well, thank you, Diane.
My pleasure.
This has been the world premiere of the video segment of the International Tax Post with Diane, Professor Diane Ring of Boston College Law School.